There are a lot of very disturbing or unsettling or uncanny images on the Japanese internet. Today, I'm starting a series where I compile those and we discuss where they came from. Without further ado, let's get into it. Here we see an image of 8 people on a sidewalk, 4 on each side, as if they're parting for the camera person to pass. They're standing completely still with their hands at their sides. It appears to be winter or early spring, judging by the coats and layered dress of the people and the lack of leaves on the trees. Oh, also, you may have noticed that all 8 people are wearing realistic pigeon masks. You may have at some point seen this peculiar image online. It's kind of a famous point of interest for those looking into Google Maps and all the weird things that are found on Google Maps. So, that's it, right? Well, not quite. Yes, that's where you can find this image, or rather these images taken by Google, but that doesn't explain everything. And there's an awful lot of stuff here that still needs some explaining. As you theoretically or virtually walk through this series of images, it just gets creepier and creepier, especially when the bike passes through. Alright, first question. Where? That's easy enough to answer, and you already know the answer since you saw the title of this video and/or know what kind of videos I make. That's right, this image was captured in Japan. More specifically, Musashino, a city within the western Tokyo metropolitan area. Great Teacher Onizuka takes place within Musashino, I believe. Paranoia Agent as well. More specifically though, actually very specifically, the street itself is along Tamagawa Josui, a well-known aqueduct that spans the city itself as well as Tokyo. The next question is who? This remains a mystery due to, well, the obscure faces of those involved, of course, though the answer to this may be closer than initially perceived. You see, the street is very close to a specialty university. What kind of specialty? Well, this nearby college is Musashino Art University. The dots are kind of starting to connect. So, last question. Why? There are 2 likely outcomes. 1, nearby students were out working on some kind of art piece or film, possibly unaware that Google was coming through that day. Or 2, it's just a predetermined Street View prank. Both seem likely, and it's especially likely that the culprits were art students regardless of the reason why they were out there that day. You see, upon researching the art school further, I found that the student body are often represented by pigeon people. It's kind of their thing. Later on, more bird people were discovered on the street view of the interior of a Japanese cafe. Very likely to be the same students seen along Tamagawa Josui, though not exactly confirmed. Now, whether or not there's some kind of deeper meaning or some kind of symbolism here because, art students and possibly an art piece, I'm not quite sure. If you think there is some kind of symbolism here, be sure to let me know in the comments. Also, if you're enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing. I make a lot of videos similar to this one here. Anyways, this first topic was just a mere warm-up. Let's move on to some images that can be described as significantly more unsettling and disturbing. But first, let's take a moment to talk about this video's sponsor. This video was brought to you by Scentbird. Now, to those unfamiliar, Scentbird is a company that provides a very unique and very useful service. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try every month for just $17. The coolest and most beneficial attribute is that you don't have to invest a lot of money on designer fragrances if you try Scentbird. Perfume and cologne? Trust me when I say they are not cheap. And body chemistry. It has a lot to do with how the perfume is actually going to smell on you. I've spent over $150 before on a single bottle of perfume that smelled awful on me. But see, this is why Scentbird is so awesome. Scentbird offers affordable and flexible subscription plans. You can also skip or cancel your subscription at any time, making it a hassle-free experience. Every month you get to pick what you want to receive, so there's no surprises. Again, everyone is different, and that's an awesome luxury to have for such a low price. And trust me when I say you don't have to worry about variety. Scentbird has over 600 perfumes and colognes and a lot of unisex options. We're even talking Gucci, Prada, and Versace here, as well as a lot of great indie labels. This month, I received the scents Mirrored Image, Lust for the Sun, and Infinitude. Mirrored Image has very quickly become my absolute favorite scent. It's perfect for everyday use and isn't overpowering in the slightest. I love fruity and floral scents like this. Infinitude, on the other hand, is a great scent when you want to step it up a little bit. It's very distinct and fresh, perfect for date nights. But Lust for the Sun, on the other hand, that one is kind of a jack of all trades. Great for both classy and casual with its sweet but reserved fragrance. Use my coupon code SAKURA for 55% off at Scentbird. That's just a little over $7 for your first month. Available in the US and Canada. Here we see a pretty concerning sight. Two children looking down from a window. One smiling while the other looks completely emotionless, possibly unhappy or uncomfortable. Behind them is a figure, a dark silhouette that appears to be an adult woman. Her body is void for lack of better words. That is, aside from their eyes, somehow vivid and clearly visible. While the children are looking downward, the form behind them appears to be looking straight ahead, into the distance. They could be contemplating their next action. They could be completely void of thought. Really, who is to say? What may be the most disturbing element of this image is that it just doesn't make sense. The image quality is pretty good. The figure that's by the window is close enough to the window where light should hit their face and you should be able to see their features. At least more than just the eyes. That in itself also doesn't make sense. So, where did this image originate from? I had originally come across this image by chance on Instagram. While I'm sure I've seen it before in the past at some point, this time, scrolling mindlessly before bed, it really stood out to me. I immediately commented on the post, courtesy of an account called Strangest Media Online. You may have heard of it. I wanted to ask if anyone knew the image's official origin, and I very quickly received a response. Google Maps? Well, that certainly intrigued me further. I tried searching for keywords that could possibly tell me more about the image. That's when I received actual coordinates from the Instagram post I commented on. Not wasting any more time, I typed them in. It's what appears to be a wedding venue or wedding supplier within China. I felt my heart sink, my anticipation and excitement leaving me. While I was aware of the possibility of this comment being a troll at the back of my head, I couldn't help but eagerly anticipate some kind of hunt for additional images or angles of this bizarre scene. The Google image possibility did make sense. I thought they were truly onto something. Nonetheless, I attempted the street view around the area, but I already knew the truth. Nothing was to be found here. I couldn't even use Street View anywhere in the area. I turned off my computer and ultimately just went to bed. Waking up the next morning, I noticed a few notifications. More replies on that same post on that comment I made. Expecting more trolls, I scrolled through them. After reading through some replies regarding what kind of content I made, I was ready to just put this one on the back burner and not think about it. Or maybe just make my own post asking around later. That was until I found yet another lead. Possibly something that led to the origin of this image. Tales of Terror from Tokyo, known in Japanese as Kaidan Shin Mimibukuro, is a Japanese horror television show that aired from 2003 to 2005. Was this possibly it? Was this where the image came from? This series had shared quite a few stories during its run, but which episode this specific scene was from, if it was even from this show at all, I could not find. I had even turned to reading through the episode listings on IMDb, but ultimately could not find anything. Most of the episode listings themselves were incomplete. I had eventually decided to do a reverse image search on the image itself and came across many uses of the image. The majority of these being reposts that didn't share the image origin or any further details. Stuff like Bored Panda compilations and Redbubble selling literal prints of the image. When the drip is immaculate. Yes, Bored Panda, that is correct. These children are definitely in a predicament. Thank you so much for clarifying that. So it quickly became apparent to me that a lot of misinformation was being spread about this image online. For quite some time, actually. At this point, I have absolutely no idea where this image came from. This image was slowly looking to be another Microsoft Bimbos type of situation. People just kept sharing it, and the origins became more and more detached with every repost of it. But then I came across this tweet. A tweet saying this image was from this. Futaribochi from Kaidan Shinbukuro. Seeing yet another post saying it was from Kaidan Shinbukuro and also saying the title Futaribochi, I quickly went to search for the episode in Japanese. But I couldn't find any episodes titled this. I did, however, come across this. So it wasn't the series Tales of Terror from Tokyo that contained the scene. Rather, it was a movie released based on the series itself, titled Futaribochi, or Only the Two of Us. Turns out, multiple films based on this TV series were released following the show's initial run. Futaribochi was released in 2005 and it involves a high school girl and the boy she tutored facing a great deal of negative supernatural attention. The film itself, the second out of 5 in the series, is a collaboration between people who had worked on both Ju-on and The Ring series of films. The scene this famous image comes from is seen during the second half of the film. This specific ghost makes appearances in various scenes, though I won't spoil it in the case you want to see the film itself. Futaribochi is a very well done film and has a lot of very impressive and very disturbing visuals and effects. If you enjoy horror manga or anime, particularly that of Junji Ito, I would definitely recommend Futaribochi. Next is a rather peculiar image, though not necessarily on purpose. The image is simple enough: a woman sitting on the floor of a Japanese-style bedroom, her knees to her chest and hunched over a bit, as she looks directly at the camera very close to the lens. Her hair is very long and appears to be in pigtails. She has a smile. The lighting is also peculiar. It gives the impression that it's nighttime somehow. In the background, you see what looks like a high school uniform on the wall. The perfect balance of lighting, image quality, setting, and placement of the girl herself makes this image quite unsettling. First question: when? Clearly, we don't exactly know where this image was taken. However, we can narrow it down by finding the earliest mention and also by the visible surroundings and image quality. It appears this image gained traction on 2chan in the late 2000s, specifically in the year 2009. This photo is synonymous with other scary images from the site, such as Jeff the Killer and Kawaii Kusasete or Make Me Cute. It's remembered just as fondly as Jeff the Killer and Kawaii Kusasete. It's just as well known. In Japan, this image is often referred to as青白い不気味な女性, which means pale-skinned woman. It was often altered to look creepier than it actually looks, especially on 2chan. This image especially peaked on the horror boards of 2chan in the late 2000s, specifically around 2009. Though, here's the thing. Nobody has ever been able to find the origin of this exact image. People can't even find the original thread that this image was originally shared on. However, according to rumors and legend, this image was supposedly shared on a board with no comment and no elaboration on what the image was. Apparently, the first comment in this thread was just the image and nothing else. This, however, has never been proven and nobody was ever able to find this original thread. It was a little later when users began looking into who this person in the photo actually was. Did this girl intentionally want this image to be creepy and off-putting? Were they even female to begin with? We really didn't know that. Users also suggested that the person in the photo was male. This brings us to the question of who? Who exactly were they? Well, there are a few theories. The very first being this person. Her name is Yui Kono. She was active as an idol during the late 2000s, and this theory really gained traction in 2015. The writer of this blog post I found had even mentioned that the eyes and eyebrows especially match up with those of the pale woman image. Now, where is Yui Kono now? Can we simply ask her? Well, she does have an official blog. A blog that does not contain this specific image, by the way. It's very much barren and abandoned today, as her last post was about 4 years ago. Back in 2009, however, she was very much active and posted many photos of herself and her everyday life. Having been born in 1984 and being around 24 or 25 during the time she was most active, maybe that time in her life has long since passed. She's now 39 years old today, and that idol blog may be just a thing of the past. I mean, blogs in themselves have been slowly phased out over the years. Though, another possibility could be that this photo did exist on this blog at one time, and was removed once Yui saw that people thought it was scary and unpleasant. I mean, not many people would enjoy having that kind of attention and have their photos edited in the way that they were edited. Though, absolutely nothing has been confirmed by Yui, mind you. We have no idea if this is her. While the resemblance is most certainly there, some feel that this pale woman photo may actually be a basis going by the stage name HJ Freaks. One of the reasons why users felt this to be the case and suggested it is a bit interesting. Allow me to elaborate. Back in the late 2000s, two anime reigned supreme throughout the Japanese internet. Those being Lucky Star and K-On! Now, why is this relevant? In 2009, HJ Freaks became popular due to his video covering the song from K-On! For that reason, he was very well known among 2chan users in 2009. The massive attention on HJ Freaks, as well as him often cosplaying and dressing in drag within his content, had a lot of people feeling he was the person in that pale woman photo. Even his home and the lighting within his home look similar in the videos. Now, to my knowledge, attempts have been made to contact this basis, and he has never provided a response. It's also worth mentioning that he's from South Korea, and this may be a language barrier issue. Currently, HJ Freaks is still very much active and has only grown in popularity and renown. He's very highly regarded for his skill as a bassist. I mean, regardless, the mystery of the pale woman remains unsolved. Most people feel the person in the photo is either Yuki Kono or HJ Freaks. But what do you think? Personally, in my own personal opinion, I feel that Yui Kono definitely looks a lot more like the pale woman, and it would make sense that she would take this image down upon seeing people not see it as attractive or cute. Like, the way I see it is that if Kono really is the person in the photo, she likely meant it to look cute. Like you caught her right after a nightly bath before school the next morning or something. Just candid, like, oh, you caught me, I'm Just, in my home after a bath. Something like that. The angle and negative space in the photo may have messed with her features and made them look a little off due to focal length, and that's why there's a debate. If this is the case, Yui is probably not proud of that image and wants nothing to do with it. Or maybe it's neither person. Maybe a regular girl, one without any public presence, had sent a candid photo that showed a little skin to a boy she liked. Maybe this is something she's never done before. Maybe that boy ended up being creeped out by the photo because it looked a little off, and decided to send it anonymously on 2chan. Maybe that's the origin of that original rumored thread that only featured a link to the photo and no added info. Can you delete posts made to 2chan? Perhaps the boy felt guilty and deleted that original post they had made. Or maybe none of these are the origin of this image and the original thread just wasn't archived. Really, nobody knows at this point, but I'm kind of banking on the Yui Kono theory. If any updates come about, however, you'll definitely hear them from me. Many of you are probably familiar with this image as well, especially if you're familiar with creepypastas. A painting mostly composed of various shades of red and pink, outlined with aggressive black lines and smudges. Everything appearing to blend together while also remaining stark and distinct. The subject of the painting is a girl, or perhaps a woman. Her hair is what looks to be in a bob cut with short, choppy bangs. Her expression is intense, appearing both manic and pained. And this is often all people ever see of this painting, the girl's head, as this specific cropped version of the photo is synonymous with a 1919 poem known as Tominos Hell, written by the poet Saijo Yaso. Legend claims that the poem itself is cursed, that you should only ever read the poem within your mind, for making the mistake of reading it out loud will cause great tragedy to befall you. However, what we're talking about today isn't Tominos Hell, it's this painting, and a disturbing background behind the work itself. But first, before I explain anything further, allow me to present the painting in full, for this cropped variant is not the full painting. As you can see, there's a whole lot more to it, and it's all just as unsettling. First question to address is who? More specifically, who painted this? While I came across a few posts claiming the artist was unknown, with a bit of digging online, I did find the answer. The painter is a Japanese artist known as Yuko Tatsushima. Born in Tokyo in 1974, they received a degree in art at Joshibi University of Art and Design in 1998, a private women's art college. It was later on in September of 1999 that the infamous Tominos Hell painting was created. However, the painting is not called Tominos Hell and has nothing to do with the poem. The painting is officially titled, Atashi wa mou yome ni wa ikemasen. In English, this means I can no longer become a bride or I can no longer get married. While what exactly is being depicted isn't confirmed, it's easy to infer the general idea. Tatsushima has created a number of incredibly provoking Guro pieces that can be found on their official site, most of which I most certainly cannot show in this video, though I'll provide a link in the description if you want to take a look. Tatsushima appears to have been active as an artist from 1998 up until 2009, as that is when the final update to the webpage had taken place. In addition to painting, Tatsushima had also delved into sculpting and photography. These can also be found on the official site. The homepage itself appears to be very much aware of the influence of I Can No Longer Become a Bride, as it's filled with that infamous headshot. Since the site itself was last updated 14 years ago, it's unknown what Yuko Tatsushima is doing today, or if they're even still alive in 2023. So, a poem written in 1919 and a painting created in 1999. two works created 80 years apart with no direct correlation. So, how exactly did the two become synonymous? While I was unable to find the very first post with this image or who was the first person to combine the two, it's likely that that person who posted the Tominos Hell poem online was also into Guro art. They may have come across the Tatsushima painting while browsing the artist's online portfolio and felt it fit the theme. Simply just that. A cropped headshot of the painting is even present on the artist's site itself, so it may have just already been like that when they saved it. Though, as of right now, I really have no clue. What we see here is confusing on multiple levels. The long neck of the woman twisting around is one thing, but the low quality of the image itself leaves for further speculation. The image almost appears creepypasta-esque, if that's even a word. It almost appears to be an image made by someone online just to scare other people online. However, it's still pretty jarring to see pop up on an image board or in image search results. I'm speaking from experience here. It's jarring, but it's also intriguing. So, where did this image come from? One bizarre mention I found online claimed it was originally a Windows 95 wallpaper. This is apparently according to a Chadtronic video, though I myself was unable to find the actual video where he said it was that. This knowledge did end up leading me to the actual origin though. This is because Chadtronic's channel is known for reacting to a specific thing, or a specific genre of thing, that being cursed commercials. So this image comes from this rather uncomfortable advertisement. While what's technically depicted in this ad is a woman with a very long neck, she's technically a yokai prominent in Japanese folklore known as a rokurokubi. The most prominent kaidan, or ghost stories that feature these yokai, originated in the Bunka era, that being only between 1804 and 1818. These stories are often quite bizarre. The most popular story involves a female escort after their client falls asleep. Once asleep, legend says the rokurokubi will stretch their neck out and lick the oil from paper lanterns within the surrounding area. Folklore also states that women often become rokurokubi due to illness. So I'm not sure if this is meant to be a cautionary tale to not seek out paid female company, or what. It's certainly more bizarre than scary, in my own opinion at least. This begs the question though, what is this advertisement even for? It's stated pretty directly at the end of the advertisement. It's for an entertainment magazine geared towards men called Takarajima magazine. At first glance, they seem to be focused primarily on underground and visual kei band news. At least this one 1990 issue I could find and actually read is. It even discusses hippies and psychedelic music. With that said, it's definitely appealing to an underground scene. In general though, according to the Japanese Wikipedia article, the magazine presented niche subculture news, a lot of really underground stuff that would cater to a very, very specific audience. This magazine has apparently even talked about psychedelic drug use and spirituality. Definitely not something mainstream Japanese media has ever wanted to showcase to the public. The content within Takarajima magazine is definitely very interesting and very useful to know the non-mainstream side of Japan during this time period. However, with that said, this makes a television spot for such a publication even more interesting. Takarajima itself means Treasure Island, by the way. It also brings up food chains and literal island names when searching Takarajima in Japanese. So when exactly did the ad itself air? It is in black and white and appears old at first glance. This can be narrowed down a bit when looking at when Takarajima was first introduced and when it was unfortunately discontinued. 1973 to 2015. Actually, that's a pretty wide margin, but a margin nonetheless. I can work with that. So the magazine was actually referred to as Wonderland magazine throughout the 1970s, so that actually cuts out that decade for the most part. Also, the magazine made some changes in the 1990s due to poor sales throughout the 1970s and 80s. These changes included the addition of an adult entertainment section. This section of the magazine was discontinued in the year 2000, however. For that reason, I feel this ad likely aired sometime in the 1990s rather than any time earlier than that. The scandalous adult origins of the Rokurokubi herself, as well as what the magazine was showcasing at this time, and the audio and video quality of the ad itself, despite being in black and white, also suggest to me that this was made probably in the 1990s. Yes, it is in black and white, but the visual effects you see in this ad aren't something you would see in the 1970s, at least in my opinion. All of that aside, though, this commercial is pretty cursed. This image is one I have seen many times on the covers of these cursed image or scary internet thread or horror story books you see at like Japanese convenience stores. They're usually sold for like 500 yen and are kinda clickbaity. Regardless, this image is related to a few things in Japan, one of them being a supposed real event or events. This brings us back to those creepy image books we've discussed. I've seen this image on the cover of more than one of these cheap, almost clickbaity kind of Japanese books. They're often sold at convenience stores. This specific book with the image on the cover didn't even have the story behind the image inside the book. Nothing about it at all, actually. Nothing about any of the images on the cover, actually. Despite that, a reverse image search led me to a 2020 5chan thread. For those unfamiliar, 5chan is the successor to 2chan. 2chan in its original form has been offline for almost a decade now. The thread itself discusses scary things one may encounter when moving out on your own and living alone for the first time, or just living alone in general. Many people in the thread shared real things they had experienced happening. And because this thread was active during a time when everyone was distanced and isolated, it adds to the general unease. While one may assume there is the usual thoughts one would have, such as becoming sick and not having any help to take care of yourself, and also just being lonely, this thread got a lot more disturbing than that. The specific post that used this image was actually in response to a conversation two others were having. A user mentioned that a hole in the roof of their bathroom had suddenly opened one night and a person was looking in at them from their ceiling. Another user replied saying that that happened to them as well, but with the letter slot at their front door. The response to both just said, "Like this? That's scary," and attached a link to this infamous image. Nobody liked that. While this thread is somewhat well known, this was not the first use of this image, making it definitely not the origin of the image. As I continued my search, I found this tweet dating back to 2014. The caption basically says, "You gotta stop rolling up these flyers and putting them in my mailbox like this." It includes the photo. Interesting thing about this post is this image includes a watermark on the bottom right of it. The watermark says mop.com. Directly searching the URL doesn't seem to bring up the site for me. However, with a little research, I learned that mop.com is a popular entertainment forum that has been running since 1997 in China. So, with this watermark attached, that means the origin of this image could go back farther than 2014. However, with mop.com not loading on my end and what looks to be some trouble the site got into with the Chinese government in 2009, I'm not even sure if I can manually find this image and its origin at this point. That's assuming if it actually did come from mop.com. And thus I continued searching. And I found this. A Japanese blog post from the year 2012 with two variants of this image. The caption reads, "The leaflet in my apartment mailbox is scary." That is unfortunately all it provides though. What is interesting though is there are two separate variants of this image from different angles. In addition, that mop.com watermark is on both images this time around, leading us back to mop.com. And as of right now, this is the earliest mention I can personally come across, which leaves us on a bit of a cliffhanger for now. However, it is possible that this is the earliest mention, and that this blogger just decided to upload the image to mop.com to get it online, kind of like with PhotoBucket or Flickr. Using an image hosting site was still somewhat common back then. I have attempted contacting the blog in hopes of finding more info on this specific mystery. I did also contact one of the Twitter users that used the image. For now, especially being unable to access mop.com and really figure out what the site's all about, this is where I'm left at with this search. With that said, please leave a comment if you find this series interesting. I do have quite a few image mysteries on the back burner, and would really love to make another video like this and include an update to the specific mystery if I do end up learning more and possibly getting on mop.com or anything before that. So if this is something you really enjoyed, please let me know. I really mean it when I say that feedback from you guys is ultimately what helps me figure out what kind of videos to make and research in the future. So let me know if you do like this. With that said, I will see you all in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye for now. Thanks Scentbird for sponsorship. Check out links below. Howdy gamers! Yusuke says hi too. Look at him go. Anyways, this video specifically, more than ever, is very much brought to you guys by my patrons. It's been a really hectic week. I just moved. I also got sick right after the move. It was a lot. And honestly, I can very much say that I would not have editing services or have my channel at the standard it is currently without my patrons. So let's especially thank my patrons with this video. Anyways, thank you so much to Everlurker 1999, Creepy Leanie, Vector Graphics, Bill Baker, Gina Britton, Luke Brown, Pigpen, Layla Bloom, Hinsvar, Jose Santana, I believe I pronounced it correctly that time, thank you so much for your message last video. Lizard Queen 27, Newt Newt Fruit Shoot, Henry Costanza, perhaps related to George Costanza. That was an awful joke. Echo Costa, Kestra Otto, Angry Oyasu, Hexmania Kana, Chitoge, Daniel Tellez, Mars, Nova Snow, Jeremiah BLR, Dakota May, Mothic Permanence, Adela Lilith, or Adela Lilith, either one, 322-32232, Theron Skymere, Chumpkins, Jaded Elf, Armando Duran, Dora Morasso, Image of Funny and Creative Name Here, Lena SD 98, Berserker Kong 02, Ellie L, Nikki, Flo Ami, Pada, Ashley Rigby, Meek, Nicholas Bambino, Mercedes Slaughter, Beebles 32, Sidnep, Eli Roca, Life on Mars, Gritty Gut 78, Lilia Grasso, Metal Mario 64, Courtney Von Schriltz, Misaol, Dr. Money $69, Nicole Turkowski, Alice Rose, Akali, Anna, Sophia Gillespie, Megan Nicole, Vonnie, Mike Master, Judy 18, Red Hoodie 50, Felix Gonzalez, Alan Achondo, Momo Buns, Mr. Anderson, Michiru Oji, Otonya, Angel Pena, Iggs, Ilio or Lilo, Brandon Tran, Andrew Valencia, Eels, Dude Bro, Joliser Plays, Beastman Manor, Merotici, Aurora Phoenix, Lauren Marcello, Lilycat, XX, Lilycat, XX. As a millennial, I love the X's. Merlin Caliber, C Chameleon, John 187 or Gene 187, Digital Dubs, Omar Ruedas, Coffee Red Fox, Raz Cohen, Shivam Vashi, Daniel Barrientos, Pan Fried Life Jacket Awareness, Nicholas Allen, Stadio VGM, Adam Mitchell, Joka, Enigdra J. Reese, Donut Brewitt, Leon X8, Theophil Zeta, Christopher Valencia, Hilary, Erica, Justin Fuda, PP Papas Katag. I pronounce that name a different way every time. Quetzalcoatl FC, Andrew LaPena, VHS Vitch, Airfire, Grand Tactician, Good with a Stain, Kevin, Jojo, Orlon the Dog. Kevin and Jojo have just been here since the very beginning. Also VHS Vitch and Bishona Knife. Thank you so much. You guys are like the MVPs, the OGs. Also Jordy Kirk. So thank you. And I think Orlon the Dog. I think it goes by the oldest. But let me read them again. All right, Kevin, Jojo, Orlon the Dog, Soko, Jordy Kirk, and Bishona Knife. Thank you again, everyone. I gave my oldest a little extra shout out. I'm still a little sick. I'm a little out of it. But yeah, that's it. A huge special thanks to Yusuke for the serotonin boost every day. And that's it. Thank you so much. Also, I hope you guys like my new setup. I just moved, like I said, and this is my new desk. It's very cute and pink. And this mouse pad's cool. It's on my Instagram if you want to see photos. Or I think a community post. At this point, my mind's a blur. Anyways, bye guys. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you again.